You good to go?
We're good to go?
Okay.
I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my personal life and my journey I had with addiction to alcohol for a few years in my 20s, and basically recovering from that. I spent a good part of my 20s, probably 7 or 8 years of my 20s, just off and on, drinking, going to the bars. It was a fast life, and I at the age of 19 was when I first started. I got introduced to the bar scene at 19. There was a bar nearby. San Gabriel's not there anymore, but they would, on a certain night, you know, the bartender didn't care how old you were, and I was, you know, loving that. So I started hanging out there and older people, and just, you know, it just appealed to me. For the first couple of years, it was fun. I used to ask myself, man, there's nothing wrong with this, right? I'm just having fun. I'm, you know, hanging out. I'm not doing anything stupid other than driving home, which I shouldn't have been. And, you know, I didn't think anything of it. After a couple of years, it's like, all right, now I'm starting to realize that this is ridiculous, but I still want to go. And that's when I started to realize that, you know what, I don't see a way out of this. I realized I had a problem, and I didn't want to stop. And most people will go years without figuring that out. I figured it out right, you know, relatively early on that I had a problem, but I just didn't care. I didn't want to do anything about it. But in order to start the process of recovery and healing, you know, you need to recognize that there's an issue, that there is a problem. So realizing the need for help is really important. You know, there's nothing wrong with having fun and going out once in a while with some friends and drinking, but when it becomes a regular nightly thing, you know, it's obviously a problem. I would start forgetting things from the night before. Reality would start slipping away. I was just living in a fantasy world. Just, you know, I'd have a day job, but then I'm like, at night, this is what I do, and nothing else seemed to matter. My body started, you know, hurting. I started getting pains and get tired. And, it was really hard on my body physically, and I used to like to keep myself in shape, and that just did not go well together. I recognized eventually that I wanted to stop, and once I made that realization, I needed to figure out how to find that help. Finding help is often not too easy, because most people are pretty ashamed to talk about it, ashamed to admit that they have a problem. I didn't care. When I realized that I wanted help, I was like, I don't care who knows. You know, I want out of this. So the way I found help was I reached out to my friends and family, who introduced me to a program at the church, and that's where I found my help. Different ways a person could find help would be going online, going to a hospital, going even to a police station. I mean, there's different ways if a person wants to get help to find it. There's so many hotlines, and me personally, I chose going through a church because I grew up a Christian, and it just made sense for me. One of the hardest parts of recovery is staying clean, and I have almost 3 years of sobriety under my belt, and one of the ways that I found that gives me strength to stay sober and stay on the right track is having friends and accountability partners, they call it. People in my life that are positive, people who understand what I've been through, people who know how to lift me up, people who can build me up and encourage me, people I can turn to when I have a problem. And, you know, it's great to have those people around, because they know what I'm going through, they've been through it themselves, so we can share stories. I still meet in groups, and without them, I'd probably go back to where I was. So being involved in positive activities, like being involved in school, having a goal, is another way that I've kept myself on the right track, and also keeping myself healthy, you know, mind and body. I mean, it's just like I like to fill my mind with positive things. I like to stay healthy. I like to exercise and eat right. I'm highly involved in my church, and I find it, you know, very encouraging and uplifting. You know, it's possible, and I do it, and I know plenty of people who have 20, 30 years sobriety who were once in a ridiculous amount of trouble and just thought there was no way out, and there is. So that's a little bit about me and my journey.
How long do you think?
Oh, man.